Mr. Maponya.
Good morning, Madam Chair, the Commissioner, and also my colleagues. Flowing from yesterday's cross-examination, today we are resuming with such. Lined up today, Madam Chair, is Mrs. Skwasana, as well as Mr. Munacheng, as well as Ernest Mbano. So,
Are you going to call them in that order?
not at all, Commissioner. We are, as agreed upon between the parties, we are going to call upon firstly Mrs. Skwasana, then we are going to call upon Ernest Mbano, and then finally we are going to call upon Mr. Munacheng. So with leave of the commission, may we call our first witness?
Yes. You are aware of the ruling which I made when I granted leave to cross-examine.
Indeed so.
The time limits which I gave for specific witnesses.
Indeed so.
That Ms. Kosana is to be cross-examined within 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Mr. Mbano also to be cross-examined within 30 minutes. And Mr. Munacheng to be cross-examined within an hour.
Indeed so, Chair.
Yes, I'll take a dim view if those time limits are not adhered to.
I will do my best to adhere to those. So with leave of the commission, may we call upon Ms. Kwasana.
Yes, Advocate Muloto.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Madam Commissioner. Ms. Spindile Sikosana, do you have any objection to taking an oath?
No objection.
In that case, do you then swear that the evidence that you are going to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
The witness has been sworn in.
Thank you, Advocate Muloto. Advocate Maponya.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Ms. Kwasana.
Good morning.
Are you aware of the proceedings today that are unfolding?
Yes, I am aware.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kwasana, are you aware that the city of Johannesburg owned Usindiso building?
Sorry, can you please repeat your question?
Are you aware that the city of Johannesburg owned or is owning the Usindiso building?
No, I'm not aware.
If that is true, that the city of Johannesburg owned or is owning the Usindiso building, am I right to assume that the actual client, in a sense of payment of rates and levies in terms of the bylaws, the city of Johannesburg is the actual customer and not the residents of Usindiso?
The actual customer is the customer that is indicated on the system according to our billing system. So according to our billing system, the customer is Usindiso Ministries.
So are you saying that, be that as it may, that in an assumption that the city of Johannesburg is owning the building, there might be a separate customer that is responsible for payments of rates and taxes in that building?
Yes, it is possible. I am not aware as to what were the agreements between the city of Johannesburg, as you indicate, them owning the building, as well the agreement between them and Usindiso Ministry, who is the account holder on the billing system.
So how does one Apologies, Chair, I missed the
Yes,
interpretation.
you may proceed. Your surname again, ma'am?
Zungu.
Zungu, yes, Ms. Zungu, you may proceed to interpret.
Yes. Lamuhla ke fakazi nguSiphindile Sikhosana ufungisiwe ngaphambi kokuba kuqale kubutwa noma imibuto phenyo lekhona. Ummeli ke uyambuta umbuto wekucala kwekuthi ingabe uyatini kwekuthi lesakhiwo seUsindiso ngabe sakhiwo lekusakhiwo selidolobha laseJozi. Uyaphendula ke make Sikhosana uthi cha akakwati lokho. Umuntu olandzelako ummeli uyambuta ukuthi uma ngabe lesakhiwo vele kusakhiwo sasedolobha laseJozi ingabe kuyaye kube ukuthi ngulaba basedolobha laseJozi ngileli dolobha laseJozi noma kuba ngilaba labalirentako noma labalicashile lebhilidi lekuba bantfu laphocelelwe ukuthi kube ngibo lababhadala timali noma tindleko letiyaye tibe khona mayelana nalolu bhilidi leto. Uyaphendula ke make Sikhosana kwekuthi bona etincwadzini tabo noma kuma record abo kubhalwe ukuthi lela bhilidi lela bamvule kumele babhadale tindleko noma ngabe ngetani ngu-Usindiso Ministry lokusho ukuthi lela bhilidi lela noma belilaseJozi ketha belicashwe u-Usindiso Ministry ngekwati kwabo. Umbuto ke lo landzelako ke so uyabuta ummeli wekuthi ingabe unalo inlwati lokuthi njengoba kuvumelana tsite emkhatsisini wedolobha kanye nalo Usindiso kwekuthi ngubaphi kuyenteka yini ngasikhathi bamvula abahlalako ebhilidini pheceleti bahlali kube ngibo laba bese baba nesidingo sekuthi babhadale tindleko. Wachaza ke make kwekuthi kuya ngekuvumelana kwabo yena akanaso isiqiniseko lesithiteni.
You are aware that the building, whether it was under the Usindiso Ministries or the City of Johannesburg, was owing an amount of 4.3 million, right?
Yes, that's correct, I'm aware.
So upon that obviously there is an amount owing by the building, whether flowing from anywhere else. So I would assume that there was a demand made in terms of payments of those levies, am I right?
That's correct.
So can you tell the commission as to where was or to whom the demand was directed to?
As I explained in my testimony the last time, that the credit control process is a City of Johannesburg process, but as Johannesburg Water, we come in when we have to effect the disconnection on the ground. And so that process, I wouldn't have information on as to where it was sent, because it is not being done within Joburg Water itself. It is being done at the City of Johannesburg under the revenue shared services.
Uyachubeka ke ummeli uyambuta make kwekuthi uyatini kwekuthi lesakhiwo lesiya besikweleta imali lenganga 4.3 million. Uthi make yebo uyakwati lokho. Uyasho ke futhi ummeli wekuthi kukhona letinye imali lebedi kweledwa ngilesakhiwo lesi. Futhi kwafika esigabeni sekwekuthi kube nekudimanda noma kuphoqa kwekuthi babaphoqelele ukuthi babhadalele leti imali. Ingabe uyatini kwekuthi baphoqelela lidolobha laseJozi noma baphoqelela le Usindiso Ministry. Uthi ke make njengoba i-credit control noma singathi indlela labayisebenzisako yekukoleka timali ngilesetshenziswa la edolobheni laseJozi. Kepha ke bona njenga Johannesburg Water bayaye bese bayangenelela uma ngabe labo bamvule kumele babhadale leto timali temandi bangakatibhadali bese ke bona sebenta lokuthite mhlambe kuyacima noma kuyavala. So akati kahle kahle ukuthi le demand noma lokuphocelelo bekubhekiselwe kubaphi.
Do you think it's consistent that the City of Johannesburg owns a building that is owing those sums of money, but still effects a demand upon the residents to say that you are owing such and such an amount of money? Isn't that the responsibility of the City of Johannesburg to regulate and control the collection of levies?
With regards to that, as I indicated, that on the system, the account holder is Usindiso Ministries. So I wouldn't be able to respond in terms of the city of Johannesburg demanding payment upon a building that is, that it owns itself, or sending a demand to the residents. According to my knowledge, the account holder is Usindiso Ministries, and my expectation would be that the demand is being sent to the account holder, not to the residents.
Uyambuto landzelako uyachubeka ummeli uyabuta ukuthi kungendeka yini ukuthi njengoba lesakhiwo kusakhiwo sedolobha laseJozi phindze idolobha laseJozi kube ngilo leliphocelela ukuthi lesakhiwo lesi sibhadale letimali leti noma letindleko leti. Uyaphendvula ke make Sikhosana uthi angeke sekakhona ukukhipha imphendvulo lecondzile ngesizatfu sekuthi emabhukwini abo kubhalwe ukuthi lesakhiwo lesi tindleko takhona kufuna tibhadalwe Usindiso Ministry. So akanaso isiqiniseko sekuthi vele bangaya idolobha laseJozi ngilo lekumele libaphocelele noma lingabaphocelela ukuthi babhadale letimali.
Thank you for that. Would you tell the Commission as to what considerations are being taken in terms of the termination of the water supply for non-payment?
I'm not too sure what you're referring to when you're saying consideration, if you can clarify for me.
I'm asking in terms of the overall consideration, in terms of the termination of what. Obviously, for example, if, for example, I'm not paying and I own a Saipono building, there must be consideration as to, for example, children living there, whether there's disabled, the purpose of that building, what is the building used for. So kindly just clarify the considerations that are taking place in your mandate in terms of the termination of that water supply.
In my mandate in terms of disconnecting for water, I indicated that we firstly restrict water. We do not cut off the water supply completely, but upon illegal connections that has been done on the water connection, then a complete shutdown of water then is done on the water connection. And so with regards to those considerations, unfortunately, that is not within the ambit of my responsibilities. Whilst there may be policies within the city, but those are within the city of Johannesburg, and my responsibility goes as far as effecting the credit control. And so unfortunately, I will not be able to indicate as to what is the city's position with regards to that.
Uqhubekile ke ummeli wambuta ukuthi ngasikhathi kuyabe khona tingqinamba letiba khona leti baholela ekuthenini bangamani nje bavale noma bacishe emanti babuke isimo ukuthi mhlawumbe kulesakhiwo kunebamfana noma kunebamfu labachwalile bayaye bavele bayaye bakubuke yini lokho ngaphambi kokuba bavale lawo manti. Uyachaza ke make ukuthi bona abamani nje bavele bavale emanti noma bawacime ekucaleni bayaye bawakale noma kube nesikalo thite ukuthi singakhona kunivulela emanti langaka nisebenzise kangaka kuba nesilinganiso. Uma ngabe mhlawumbe ke sekuthenini bawachumile lamanti ngalungekho emthethweni kulapho khona ke sebabese bawavala ke ngalokuphelele. Kepha ke uma uya ehlangothini ukuthi letingqinamba leti bakhona ukuthi kunebamfu labasimo lesithide njengoba ummeli ashito ukuthi bayakubuka yini lokho nababacima le manti. Uthi yena njengoba asebenzela iJohannesburg Water unake nje ekuthenini kukoloka kanjani imali kuphela. Lelo hlangothi lakancishe athi lingaba semahlombe elidolobha laseJozi njengoba emapolisi abo angawadi kahle ukuthi ahambe afike kuphi bayakhona yini kungenelela kuleso simo leso.
Thank you. Do you agree with me that access to clean water is a constitutional right in South Africa.
Yes, I do agree.
Do you agree with me that the city of Johannesburg, in cutting water supply for the residents of Usindiso, unfairly limited the rights of those residents, taking into account that, as we have listened to the evidence of the victims, that the building was previously used as a shelter for the previously disadvantaged and the persons that are suffering or victims of abuse, if I may say.
With regards to the fact that there was unavailability of water, yes, it can be agreed that the residents then were unfairly treated in that there was no water at the time. So that is acknowledged, and that is something that, as the city of Johannesburg, we may look at in terms of possibly reviews of policies in how do we deal with that going forward to try and maybe have an alternative supply.
Uphindze wabuta lomunye umbuto ke ummeli kwekuthi ingabe make sikhosana uyadi kwekuthi kulungelo lebahlali kwekuthi batfole emanti lahlobile. Waveta sisimake ukuthi yebo uyakwati lokho. Wase soyabuta ke futhi ummeli kwekuthi ingabe sisi uyakuconza yini kwekuthi njengoba bahlali base Usindiso bebangawatfoli emanti lahlobile. Futhi kubuka lokwekuthi kwacala phela kwahlala abantu labe bahlukubutekile lapha. Uyavuma yini ukuthi indlela bebaphatheke ngayo lokuthi bangawatfoli emanti akusindlela lekahle noma kuhlukubeteka kwemalungelo abo njengebahlali nenjengokusho kwemthetho futhi. Uyavuma ke mangasikhosana uthi yebo kuliciniso vele abaphathekanga kahle lokuthi bangawatfoli emanti lahlukile. Futhi ke uyasho ukuthi uyathemba ukuthi mhlawumbe lidolobha laseJozi kungaba yimvo leyibuketako ukuthi kuchubekela phambili benda njani ekuthenini bahlali bakhona ukutfola emanti lahlobile.
Be that you have considered that it was unfair to cut off water under those circumstances, why was means not being made in order to provide for this constitutional right to the residents of Usindiso?
Unfortunately, at the time of the disconnections, as the disconnecting department, we are not aware of who stays in the property and how many people are there, as that is not within the ambit of our responsibilities. And so our role is that of credit control. And so we wouldn't have been able to know that who is in the building and how many people are there, because our responsibility in terms of credit control is up to a meter that is outside of the building. And so, as I have indicated, these may be the things that we may have to look at as the city then to make considerations probably in the future.
Uyabuta ke ummeli ukuthi njengoba make adi ukuthi vele labahlali baphathekanga ngendlela efanele ngokuthi bavalelwe la emanti lahlobile. Yini ke imizamo labayenda kubuka simo salabantu labe bahlala kulela bhilidi lela ukuthi bakhone ukutfola emanti lahlobile. Uyaveta ke make ukuthi ngekwati kwakhe kude imizamo leyendiwa. Futhi ke lokho kungeza futhi kwekuthi bona njenga Johannesburg Water laba bamfu laba bona babantu lababuka ekuthenini ikolekwa kanjani imali lekweletwa sakhiwo. Ababuki ekuthenini kuhlala abantu laba kanjani labangisiphi isimo futhi kuhlala abantu labangaki. Bona njena bayesakhiweni bafike babuke imeter bathathe inombolo bese ke kuba lapho kubhadaleka khona. Kepha ke kuchubekela phambili mhlawumbe idolobha laseJozi lingabuka kwekuthi ingabe ngitiphi inyathelo vele letingatithatha ekuthenini ngaphambi kokuba kuvalwe emanti kubukwe isimo sebahlali.
Thank you for that. So, in an ordinary course of of things in Johannesburg, and I speak as a resident as well. Whenever there's a water cut or there's water outages, there's normally tanks and JoJo tanks that are put in place in order to afford residents of Johannesburg water. So why was that or those means made for the residents of Usindiso, taking into account that the Usindiso building was known to be owned by the city of Johannesburg?
Mr. Maponya, I think the witness has quite clearly said, to her knowledge, she didn't know that the building was owned by the city of Johannesburg. You only knew the name of the ratepayer to be Usindiso Ministries. So I think your cross-examination is a little bit unfair.
Apologies for that, Chair. If I may rephrase my question, are you aware of those means that I alluded to in terms of your scope and mandate and your office, that whenever there's